Hi everybody, welcome to the second part of my Wagner video series. In the first video we talked ever so briefly about Wagner himself, his importance and influence on the history of opera and history of music, his works, the Ring Cycle, and the construction, innovations and inauguration of the Bayreuth Festspielhaus in 1876, which you see behind me. Now we continue from where we left. Wagner, during the construction and the inauguration of the festival and the Festspielhaus here in Bayreuth, had already accumulated a large amount of debt. And because of that, the second festival here in Bayreuth could only be organized 6 years later in 1882. The work was his last stage work, Parsifal. He had already conceived Parsifal in 1857 and had worked on it on and off, but it was only 25 years later he completed it. Parsifal is a drama about the suffering of the world personified. It's a piece about communities coming together. Wagner's music illustrates something that only music can, away from the text, beyond the text. He described Parsifal not as an opera, but as ein Bühnenweihfestspiel, so a sacred festival stage play. Wagner loved Italy. In his travels in Italy in 1880, he was inspired by the Siena Cathedral for the Grail scene in Parsifal, and the location and the gardens of Palazzo Ruffolo in Ravello for Klingser's Magic Gardens. Parsifal was premiered on July 26, 1882, here in Bayreuth, and until the end of August, 16 performances took place here. It is reported that Wagner took the baton at the last performance from the conductor Hermann Levy, a Jewish German conductor, at the orchestral interlude in the third act and conducted the opera or music drama to the end. This was to be his last performance here in Bayreuth. After the second Festspiel at Bayreuth, the Wagner family, Richard, Cosima and their 4 children traveled to Venice to spend the winter. They first stay at Hotel Europa and then they rent the entire middle floor, piano nobile, of a 15th century palazzo, Ca Vendramin Calergi, or better Ca Vendramin Calergi, is a Venetian Renaissance palace on the Grand Canal in the Canereggio quarter of Venice. It was commissioned by the Loredan dynasty in 1481 and was a monument to the power and wealth of the Loredans. Its architect was Mauro Coduzzi. In 1589, it was acquired by the Calergi, a Cretan feudal family. In 1739, it was passed to the Vendramins. Since 1946, the municipal casino of Venice has been located there. Wagner first stayed in Venice in 1858 for 7 months. At the time he wrote, "Venice is a far-off world of other times, so deeply in harmony with my own desire for solitude. Nothing here has the immediacy of real life. Everything here suggests a work of art. I want to stay here. Stay here I shall." hall, in this exact hall, Apollo Hall at the Fenice Theater in Venice, Richard Wagner organizes a concert to celebrate his wife's birthday on Christmas Eve 1882. They perform a piece, a youthful piece, a symphony in C major by Wagner in celebration of his wife Cosima's birthday. And among the guests is Cosima's father, Franz Liszt. At the end of the concert, they request from Franz Liszt to play an encore, and Liszt sits by the piano and plays an aria by Rossini.
It is reported that Wagner and Liszt, two of the biggest names of Romanticism in music, actually get together at the large room of the Palazzo that offers splendid views of the Canal Grande and converse. On the evening of February 12, 1883, Wagner sits at the piano and plays the Lament of the Rhine Maidens from his opera Das Rheingold. The next day, February 13, 1883, he dies of a heart attack. His remains are then taken by a gondola to a train station nearby, and from there by train to Bayreuth in Bavaria. Today, Ca Vendramin Calergi, where Casino Venice is located, also houses a Wagner museum. This is the largest collection of Wagner rare documents, scores, and memorabilia outside of Bayreuth in Germany.
Wagner's remains were interred in the garden of his villa Wahnfried here in Bayreuth only 5 days after his death in Venice. This is Villa Wahnfried, where they lived about 10 years. It was built during the construction of the Festspielhaus. Wahnfried is a compound name of two German words that Wagner himself made up. Wahn meaning delusion or madness, and Fried is peace or freedom. In fact, his words are inscribed on the house itself. Hier, wo mein Venen Frieden fand, Wahnfried sei dieses Haus von mir benannt. Meaning, here where my delusions have found peace, let this place be named Wahnfried. According to Wagner's wishes, his grave was uninscribed, so there's no names on it. And his wife Cosima, who died 47 years after Wagner himself, was also interred at the same place in the back garden of their Villa Wahnfried in Bayreuth. Reflecting on the commentary beneath my first video on Wagner, It's evident that nearly 150 years after his passing, he remains a controversial figure. Just as in the late 19th century, his persona and music evoke both positive and negative emotions. Despite his political views and personal life, Wagner's music resonates powerfully, leaving an enduring impact on us in myriad ways. But I think it's important to separate artistic personalities from their creations in order to truly appreciate art. This allows us to value the work itself, independent of the creator's identity, personal beliefs, or even actions. By separating the artist from their creation, we can engage with the piece on its own terms, exploring its meaning, beauty, and impact without being unnecessarily influenced by external factors. And this distinction then allows the work to speak for itself, connecting with people from different backgrounds and different times. Thank you very much for joining me at this cultural journey. Until next time, stay well.